Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for September 30th through October 3rd, 2022. Here we are moving over into a new month. And wow, wasn't September intense and August and the last few years? It's like it just continues the saga of the story that's playing out. It's about time we learn to pay attention again and work with the energies of the planets and the stars. The messages are just couldn't be clearer in talking about the times that we're in right now. So, what we're feeling right now is Mercury coming to the end of his retrograde cycle. So, he's made it to 24 degrees Virgo, where he went into retrograde shadow. So, as far back as he's going to retrograde. Now, Neptune just moved to 23 degrees. And so, just at the very end degrees, 23 degrees, Mercury is opposite of Neptune. And will be opposite of Neptune for the whole next week through the 5th and exact or within this 1 degree. Now, we had this once before back in August when Mercury went over this opposition just before the whole retrograde things. We're back to where we started. Doesn't mean we have any clarity yet, though, because the opposition, Mercury is our mind, our conceptual reality. It's retrograde. We're rethinking and reimagining. Opposite of Neptune, starting out the retrograde season, and as Mercury turns direct, it's saying, "Oh, no, you still don't know up from down." And just kind of, a recognition of how traumatized and gaslit we've been in our current reality with world events, keeping us in a state of immobilization and shock, and keeping us feeling despair and hopelessness, which is the whole point. Because when we feel that, then we're food for the control energies. That's why they keep us here. Once we evolve, then we are no longer accessible for food. So why don't we start that right now? And this is the powerful thing here. Because, yeah, Mercury's opposite Neptune and Pisces, bringing up the deepest confusion and lies and distortions from the Piscean age that have kept us in the dark, kept us from who we are, kept us separated from source. With the world the way it is right now, too, it's like seeing through the veil of like, whoa, all of a sudden, a little truth comes through, and then it just pulls apart at your whole reality, and everything then is questioned. So, as a whole, in the collective and supernova souls in our own way, but the collective, maybe subconsciously, they don't know exactly what they're going through yet, but it's this energy of like, it's all a lie. What is the point? It's part of the spiritual awakening when you recognize that this world is an illusion, it's Maya that we're playing out. And then it's like, well, what is the point and why even bother? Because I've been working so hard for nothing, It's like, yeah, how about be nothing? Right? This is what we're learning. We're in this time of trauma and drama and just so much going on to inundate us with the script of emotions that they want us to feel. And it's the trick and the trap, and it's getting so obvious. And what if we have the power to say, not my reality. I am sovereign and my birthright as a direct part and fractal participant in source energy, have direct access to source energy. And therefore, I'm going to do it my way, which is the highway. Right. So because Mercury, the whole time that this opposition with Neptune is happening and Mercury is slowly turning, just stuck there at 24 degrees Virgo. It's like we're just stuck back in the Piscean age in this total confusion of not being able to figure out what's real, what's not real, what's good, what's bad, just this totally confused and traumatized state. But it's actually becoming so clear, this energy, because Mercury is also in trine to Pluto. So Mercury trine Pluto in Capricorn at 26 degrees is about breaking the chains of authority, contractual arrangements, wherever we've given our power away or said, hey, it's up to you. You better be in charge of it. And then I'll come get permission if I want to access my power. And of course, they're going to say no and they're going to beat you down and punish you. It's like we made a contract at the very beginning of this evolution as advanced souls. And in order to get here, and we were so excited to come to Earth for this amazing experience of massive duality. And so we didn't read the fine print of like you it's we're gonna trap you and make, take your memories, steal your reality and your soul, and as much as you'll let us take, you know, and do not under any circumstances remember who you are or come back into your intuitive power. I was like, yeah, all right. Well, we got to change the rules of this game because I didn't come in here to just get trapped forever as, this like soul loop. This is what we're finding right now. When you think you're moving forward and just this illusion, this is part of the whole medical conspiracy right now, of AI technology in the body. And it's like designed to interfere with our organic connection to our God code DNA to basically completely steer us off the spiritual path. And there's so many, especially so-called spiritual movements and people and where it's like they have this high holy vibration, right? But it's like nobody's actually going anywhere. It's like just a loop. And it's almost like that's what we really need to watch out for. The end game is these loops that trap you back in, right? And so it's so powerful because we've got this total confusion and it's really uncomfortable because it's bringing us back to where we were in 2020 and when we had the nodes in Gemini or in the North Node Gemini, South Node Sagittarius. And it was just like this, the whole world went to shit. And it was like, what the hell's going on? I can't plan anything. I can't figure anything out. I can't feel any way forward. And we're revisiting that energy, but at the same time, the whole time that Mercury's waiting to turn and hanging out, it's still in trine to Pluto. So it's saying this is all about harmoniously breaking contracts wherever we've given away our power, wherever we agreed to any energy outside of ourselves that we need to be limited or restricted and access to our own life force energy. So it's very powerful, dynamic set of astrology. And at the same time, um, what just happened is that Venus was in an opposition to Neptune and crossed Mercury and Mercury and the sun, Venus catching up to the sun. And now Venus has moved over into Libra. So crossed paths with Mercury. It's very interesting that Mercury and Venus don't come back together until early November. And so that will be a very powerful marker. And so between now and then, it's this journey of a reworking of the intuitive mind. And that's a lot of what this retrograde is about. What is perfect balance? Perfect balance is heart. It's exactly in between. It's that 0 point. It's the right and the left brain working harmoniously together. And that's an interesting energy because we have these oppositions, and oppositions are a different energy than their tension transits like squares, but the oppositions have this like tension pulling, and then all of a sudden, when they're exactly opposite, there's this mutual receptivity. And so it's very powerful with the sun and then Venus, well, Mercury first before its retrograde and starting its retrograde, coming into these transits, opposition with Jupiter, opposition with Neptune, and trine with Pluto in between. And so it's just a very powerful time of activation. Now, Venus has traded places with Mercury and the sun. The sun just took its turn opposing Jupiter, and now Venus. Venus moves into Libra today, and so is immediately coming into this opposition with Jupiter at 3 degrees. Now, the Venus opposite Jupiter is about the freedom, the fight for freedom for the feminine, and the fight to have permission to access that life force energy. And so it's a complete reworking of the feminine and an empowerment. Now, this it's interesting because of course we've had this so much tension here with this Libra Aries axis. Libra relation, our relation to each other, our relationship to the world, our relationship to source, to God, to ourself. And then Aries, it's about self and empowerment and life and living. And so the Jupiter in Aries brought this whole energy of like, especially coming out of COVID, it was like, I haven't been living. I'm living a half-ass existence, you know? And now the feminine is feeling this and she's getting fed up. And it's interesting, this dynamic, because she's about over it, you know? It's like she's frustrated and she's like that whole energy. It's a very dynamic shift within the consciousness of being like, wait a minute, I only have to do it your way because I agreed to do it your way. What happens if I say, this is the way it is? This is the way I feel. I'm going to bend reality. She is ready. She's had enough of this bullshit. She said, my world, my way, which is an alignment. I mean, we're talking about the purified feminine, the innocent feminine, the part of us that has been buried and shamed. And that part of us that was as is a healer and an earth healer and a teacher and a lover of people, bringing compassion and health and healing and flow and the right way, the good. And so she's ready to bend this reality. She's ready to activate. She's like, can't be in fear and trauma anymore. She doesn't have time and she's running out of patience. And so you better watch out. And she's awakening. you know, it's like Venus opposite Neptune. And it was like, oh, all this like stories of the past and back in this dark dungeony place with this Black Moon Lilith activation we're in. And now she's like, wait a minute. You guys had me all checked for so long. I had the power all along. So it's really about when we talk about the feminine, we're talking about the masculine and feminine within us. And so the feminine within us is this, where we've been separated and disgraced, and disconnected from our higher intuitive power, which is feminine energy. And also life force and creation. And so it's like our creation energy is being robbed from us as they feed on our negative energy and just continue to we feed the negative energy, and then it just is a big pool of negative energy, but it's just not taking hold like it was. Can't you feel it? It's like the tide has turned, so what's the deal, you know and it's like the control dark energies. It's like the old guard is under pressure right now and won't let go, right? It's like clearly the multi-headed monster only has one head and it's halfway severed, but still thrashing, holding on for dear life and trying to cause as much pain as possible to bring the whole ship down, right? So this is when this delicate place that we're in. So the astrology is speaking to this, and it's at that moment that purified, true, innocent empowerment can come forward and say, "Oh, I see through it now." Now, this is really powerful because um, Venus, when we're talking about Venus right now, she's got why it's so powerful because she's in center stage. She's in charge. She's running the ship because all of the planets are retrograde or in retrograde shadow, except Venus. And so it's like she's at the helm, finally, back where she belongs. And she's not so scared anymore now. She's thinking that she might be able to come into her power and have love and support. And this is so much of what's going on for everyone because this Black Moon Lilith in Cancer is activating this the dark place within all of us, that this illusion of separation from source, this for supernova souls, this feeling of being left behind and abandoned in a hostile environment without any support or love or true family. And but Black Moon Lilith in Cancer is in an exact sextile to Uranus and Taurus right now. A sextile is about creative solutions, and Uranus and Taurus is about our permission for that higher intuitive knowledge. for the truth, because okay, so what we're feeling now, Mercury is, like we said, it's made it to 24 degrees, won't station direct until the second next early next week on or this weekend. And but then right on the second is when we move into this exact square of Saturn and Uranus in fixed signs. And so this is exactly the energy we're talking about. Stubborn structures that have not been able to shift and change. It's powerful that we've been feeling the influence of this square on and off for the last year and a half. So if you go back to that point and it's like, oh, revisiting this cycle and it's a completion. And so there's huge tension around changes that have not been able to happen to better reflect who we are in our energetic truth and the energies we've been going through these massive upgrades. We can feel it, but our world is like the structures that are so trepidatious, the piles of hay stacks that are about to get lit. It's like, whoa, it's just a um, very powerful time. And because Mars is in retrograde shadow and taking a retrograde in Gemini, we're having a whole bunch of energy come up around disclosure and the truth coming out and the pressure. So the Saturn square Uranus is pressure for disclosure and disclosure of our true past so that we can actually move into our future. Disclosure of the technologies that have been kept from us, the lies about our history and who we really are. It's all got to come out, and it's getting like just sh- something's got to give. It can't stay this way. And that's the energy of this Saturn square Uranus. Now, during that time, that's from the 2nd to the 12th of October. And during that same time, or part of that time, we've got Mars coming into square with Neptune. So right now, Mars is in a sweet trine with Saturn, and that's harmonizing, just like the sextile Black Moon Lilith Uranus sextile. And then Mars is in a trine with Saturn. And so this is harmonizing this square energy. But we've had Mercury twice, Sun, Venus, Mercury again, opposing Neptune and giving us this confusion and like you can't quite get out of the Piscean age and you got to really clear up some stuff that you didn't even know was in there that's like nasty and gross and where are you bought into that you don't deserve to have what you need to survive here or you know have who you are be free in to create your own reality. It's so necessary, but it's really intense and dark energies, but it's harmonized also with these sextiles and trines. Now, Mars trine Saturn, very powerful energy when these planets come together and interact. And we've been feeling this for the last couple of days, and we'll feel it through the whole first week of October. So, we've got Mercury trine Pluto, Earth trine energy, and now Mars trine Saturn, air trine energy. And so Mars and Gemini about to, get into this retrograde energy and trying to Saturn and Aquarius is speaking about the truth, our voice, which must come forward, all that's been suppressed and silenced in order to take our role and our dharma and play our role in the Aquarian age. So disclosure is the one thing in the way. Now, the picture of this that I got is like, whoa, sometimes we talked about these realizations you have. You're like, whoa, one little piece of this whole puzzle of lies and it just unravels. And then it's this esoteric crisis, like where you go into cognitive dissonance and you can't even think about it or deal with it for a few days because your whole reality is breaking down. There's a magic moment there. And maybe we can hold space for this because we've gone through this again and again in our own way. We're still going to have our minds blown, is the word on the street. But we are a little bit more flexible since we've experienced so much, and we can hold space that this disclosure that's inevitably coming can be is there's cognitive dissonance, there's breaking down, but there's also this porthole vacuum vortex that it's like a pin of light. And when that breaks down and you're like, "Oh god, that's oh no, everything is not what I thought, and who am I, and what is it what's the point in I'm just floating out there in space," and, um, slip through to a whole new dimensional reality. right? So we could hold space for that for humanity. It's like, yeah, there's a cognitive dissonance, uncomfortable, everything's breaking down, and you don't, it's like esoteric, uh, deep esoteric depression and crisis. But right there is that golden gate doorway into your freedom and your future. And the message is that we don't have to wait for anybody. We can embody this love and this dimensional frequency right here, right now. So let those uncomfortable times of dealing with this world and how effed up it is and the truth of having to face it wash over you, and almost like this white light reset, DNA reset. And it's like washing you through into whole different dimensional reality. And it's like, instead of like, "Oh, what's the point and who am I?" And I'm just like, "Well, why am I in here?" And how about like, "Oh, all that weird movie just doesn't really matter because it's about this, whatever that is." So this is available to us. But now Mars is going to be coming into this square with Neptune. And then, so we've had all these oppositions. We've basically had a whole month of oppositions with Neptune. And now Mars square Neptune in Gemini, and it's just so much tension around the delusions of the Piscean age and all that's been hidden from us. We could never be controlled if we remembered who we really are and stayed connected to our history, our past lives, the technology we've already worked with, right? So this forgetting is crucial. And now it's about remembering. And we got that message from the Mars retrograde. But Mars square Neptune is like a bloom on one hand of that whole feeling of lies and deceit. And I don't know up from down. And I'm so confused and gaslit and overwhelmed and just shut down and escape, right? But maybe this is our also energy of slipping through, because it's like there's massive invitation for the truth to be spoken over the lies, right? Because once people are completely confused and they find one thing that rings true, that's a game changer too, you know? So it's really interesting to note because Mars squares Saturn here for the second week of, we'll feel it through the whole month of October in November because it stays close. The first time that this square happens is from the 11th to the 15th of October. So we're already moving into this energy. And then it'll happen again November 19th through the 22nd. And then again in after it comes out of retrograde shadow in January. Actually, did I write it down? For February. So, yes, the middle of March is, I believe, yes, the 15th and 16th of March is when this square happens for the third and final time. And it's when they're both direct and Mars is coming out of shadow. And so Mercury will be direct as well. It's going to take another retrograde, but come out of shadow mid February. So the middle of March is when we come out of this whole thing and start to see clearly. But being aware of this process, this Mars retrograde, deep and profound initiation experience. On that note, this remembering, relearning, we've already done these things. And this is the whole point of the intuitive training. It's not too late to join. We just started last Thursday. It's Thursdays. You don't need to make the live class if it doesn't work in your time zone. You can catch the replay and stay connected with us. And this deep dive, modern day mystery school, chakra by chakra, systematic approach of clearing and healing anything in the way of you, stepping into your power. It's just the perfect time for that. So consider that intuitive training. It's not too late to join. And that's Thursdays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So really dynamic energies, and is just as intense. But so what we're basically feeling is Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow, but still in that confusing opposition with Neptune. Neptune is the collective mind and Mercury's the everyday mind. And so it's just like, whoa, because our worlds don't match up. It's everything we've been talking about. But then Mercury does start to turn, but then we go into this intense Saturn square Uranus, like gridlock, fixed, can't go anywhere, stubborn, won't let go. And yet it's all about pressure to it's the stubborn structures and the old guard that won't let go, but it's also our resistance to the new world and our role in the Aquarian age and whether or not we deserve Uranus and Taurus or higher power. So it's just pressure all around and it's very uncomfortable. But again, there's these little pinhole portals that can slip you right through to a whole different energy. And when you're in a place of that dissolving of the constructs and the fabric of reality, you're much more malleable is to be able to adjust to a big change like that. Do you see why this is all playing out? We've got to get on the other side of this. We've got to make this energy work for us, and that's what the planets are saying. And so here we are, and we know that we're in a massive remembering and reinitiation and preparation. Rest and prepare, huge message over these next couple of months. So next weekend on the 9th, we've got the Aries full moon. That will be in conjunction with Chiron, so huge energy there. And I think that Venus will also be um close to the sun. Let's see. I better check that. Yep. So Venus will also be in conjunction not too far from the sun and opposite the moon there in Aries. So more of this Libra Aries axis and so powerful that we've got Venus opposite Jupiter right now in Aries Libra and then Mercury opposite Neptune. They've traded places and this it's again creating exactly what I'm talking about. This portal vector when you have two oppositions so close together and you look at it in a chart and it's just like this narrow X. They come together and it's like a vector and when you put two vectors together, it creates that 0 point energy, that toroidal field, that 0 point place in the toroidal field outside of duality where you can slip on through because it's time. You know, Venus has finally had enough. So we'll see how this goes. Um, and that a lot will culminate with this Venus energy on that Aries full moon. The Sun and Venus will be in trine to Saturn for the full moon, though. And that's a really sweet energy saying it's all about our role in the new age and the new renaissance. These trines, these air trines, are speaking to this new renaissance that we're moving into, claiming back and restarting all the little seeds we planted throughout this whole evolution for this utopia garden, golden age that's coming. And we've been on the front lines of this the whole time. And now we're at that crucial place. And you have full permission within yourself when you're ready to step through and out of this madness. So a lot of that has to do with loyalties and responsibilities to other people, organizations, all these contracts everywhere we gave our power away or put anybody's agenda before our own truth. That has got to fall away. And so it's like we've got this massive confusion, reworking, rewiring, overcoming mind control, but also confusion and gaslighting and into that energy again with Mercury opposite Neptune. But then that trine Pluto, we can do this. We can drop. Maybe it's just showing us exactly where we've been giving our power away. And this energy will resolve more as Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow. And that will happen on the 17th of October. That will be after the Mars square. We'll still feel Mars square Neptune, but then and we'll still feel Saturn square Uranus basically through the whole month of November, both of those. But Mercury's coming out of retrograde shadow and it's a new chapter. So that Aries full moon and then after the Aries full moon, we're moving into eclipse season. So we're going to have eclipse in October and one in November. So the new moon the Taurus new moon, I mean, the Scorpio new moon, powerful. And so we'll talk more about those eclipses moving into eclipse season. I'll be doing soul group sessions, supernova soul group sessions, group past life readings to support supernova souls through this powerful initiation time. So thanks so much for being with me and following the work. Wow, it's so much going on. It's they wouldn't even let me put all the words in the description today because it's like a whole dissertation on the astrology. So but just the message again and again, like, you guys, here it is. Here's a roadmap, you know, just work with the energies now. It's your time, it's your world, and it's time to take it back. And that greater truth, which is love and healing and flow and what's good and right and true. And this is who we really are, humanity. We're done playing out this bullshit, wars and just all of it over. And you make that choice as you give yourself permission to break all ties and be in that greater truth. The greater truth is the codes you brought in, your memory of when your DNA was fully intact, so that you can come back into your full God code activation DNA, your light body, your sovereign state. This is what is required to move over to the Aquarian age. And so much of the Saturn square Uranus is like, are you guys going to go to the new age or not? This is a choice you need to make. What's your role? What are you doing? Are you worthy? Are you giving your power over? Because that's not going to work. So, whew, yeah, here we are. And so I'm so glad we're here together in these incredibly powerful times. And let's stay connected. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.